and Z meeting. It's okay with me. Yeah.
I'm fine with it.
Yeah, because we've got the lights from behind.
You can see the screen.
We're so needy. Can we take
Is this date night for you, Joel?
How's it gonna look?
Is this date night for you? That's what it is.
I love it.
Is there anybody out there?
I think I want this part, don't I?
No, it's good.
I don't care.
The chair has spoken, it's good.
There you go.
All right.
Candlelight.
Good evening. I now call to order the meeting of the Planning and Zoning Commission for the City of Apache Junction. Today's date is March 24th, 2026, and the time is 7 p.m. Will we please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Rudy, can I please get a roll call?
Chairman Hanchey,
Here.
Vice Chair Barker,
Here.
Commissioner Gage,
Here.
Commissioner Starr,
Here.
Commissioner Mikeland,
Here.
Commissioner Callan,
Here.
Commissioner Kelly.
Here.
7 present, we have a quorum, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Rudy. Do we have a motion to approve the agenda and minutes?
Mr. Chair, I move that the Planning and Zoning Commission accept the agenda as presented and approve the minutes from the October 28, 2025 regular meeting.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Rudy, we have a motion and a second. Can I get a roll call, please?
Commissioner Kelly,
Yes.
Chairman Hanchey,
Yes.
Vice Chair Barker.
Yes.
Commissioner Gage,
Yes.
Commissioner Starr,
Yes.
Commissioner Mikeland,
Yes.
Commissioner Callan.
Yes.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Rudy. There's one public hearing this evening. Tonight's public hearing presentation discussion, public hearing and consideration of case P-25-59-PZ, a proposed rezoning of parcels 103-21-025F, 103-21-025G, 103-21-025H, 103-21-025E, 103-21-026E, 103-21-026G, 103-21-026C, and 103-21-026F, located at the northeast corner of South Acacia Road and Southern. Take it away, please.
Thank you, Chair Hanchey. I'm Nick Leftwich, Principal Planner for the City of Apache Junction. I'll be presenting case information tonight for Diamante Homes at Acacia. So the subject property is located here at Southern Acacia, Old West Highway, and Star, which is just west of Goldfield Road. The proposal is to rezone this approximately 7.96 net acre property in order to, from these three zoning districts, it's R1 PD, B1, RM1 PD, B1, and RSGR, to the RM2 PD, which is the high density residential by plan development, with a new plan development overlay in order to authorize the development of a 129 platted townhome subdivision. So to illustrate what the zoning context of this property is and where those zoning districts are, this is what the zoning looks like. So the West 4 properties 21 years ago were zoned with a plan development for a similar high-density residential zoning district. It was originally a townhome development that ultimately never got developed, even though it was approved by City Council. And then we have 3 B1 general commercial properties. They've never been developed. As we've talked with marketers over the years, we found that it's just kind of an awkward position that had dealt with a significant hydrological challenge when we look at the wash. And then there is one RSGR, the low-density general residential lot. This parcel previously did have a home on it, has since been demolished. And so currently, all 8 of these parcels are vacant. As we look around the context of the property, there is other low-density residential, other commercial, and as we go into the further away, diagonally, we see a little bit more higher density residential. This is the general plan land use map. Currently, half of the property is already high-density residential. The other half is commercial, and so as part of this rezoning request, there is a minor general plan amendment so that the entire site would match under the high-density residential land use designation. Shown here is a site plan of the property. These units, the townhomes, rather than units, they are all subdivided lots, but they are all alley-loaded units with 2-car garages. There is adequate guest parking on site for surface parking. The applicant is proposing to have a guest house with a pool, playground, parks, some green space, and a trail system as on-site amenities, a pickleball court. And primary access would be off of Acacia. There is a egress exit on Southern, but as we see here, the primary access, ingress egress, would be on Acacia. So shown here are elevations. There are multiple different colors, 3 different color schemes, and then a couple different elevation types with different formats of the building itself for different varied look throughout the community. The applicant has complied with the public notification requirements, the sign posting, mail notification, newspaper posting. They held a neighborhood meeting on Tuesday, September 2nd, at which point 5 members of the community attended. This was at the Apache Junction High School. There were questions regarding site planning, access, water sourcing, pricing, traffic, general questions regarding the interest as neighbors wanted to know what this would look like, who their new neighbor would be. And since that time, staff have received just 1 email from a city resident who specifically wanted to know how this would be integrated within the city's bike lane trails and wanted to make sure that that was something that was acknowledged and planned for. And as this is part of on Southern, one of the city's arterials, that would be something that we believe is part of the street sections. And these are all concerns that are already being assessed under the subdivision improvement or street improvements. So that is its own process, but just wanted to make sure that those things were made aware of. And so with all this considered, staff recommends the approval of P2559PZ, the Diamante Homes at Acacia project, finding that the proposed development does meet the general plan goals and policies. So the general plan identifies that this corridor along Old West Highway is a prime spot for development of different uses, including higher density residential as we get closer to the freeway as well. This is an infill site that's needed a lot of love. And that's part of the reason why, as we've seen the challenges on the site, we're happy to see that there is a productive use being proposed. We believe it meets the goals of having diversifying the housing stock. These townhomes are home ownership opportunities, as it is going to be a platted subdivision, and that helps add, home ownership opportunities to the community. And so we believe that it meets these general plan goals and policies, and that it ultimately meets the intent, and so that the minor general plan amendment is still in line with what we see in the area and what was planned for. And the minor general plan amendment only being a little less than half the site, we find it to not have a significant impact on the commercial balance or the land use balance of the area. As a small note, there is a proposed modification to Condition 6. This came up on the staff side of things because as we were working through with the engineers of the site during the subdivision planning, there was an update to some of our planning comments that had been made in order to better align with the city's approved engineering standards. So just as a minor note, something that would affect the motion, we would just ask to strike the language in condition number 6 that says, as outlined in the previously approved pre-application and review comments. And that note, because the approved engineering standards of the city are already sufficient in order to meet the standards and the proposed infrastructural requirements that we've discussed with the applicant's engineers. So this would just be kind of a technical note to rectify a difference between what was in the pre-application comments and what has been worked out now. So,
Nick, can
yes.
I clarify what you're saying?
Yes.
Saying on number 6 that the first sentence remain and
Yeah.
the rest of it is stricken.
I would say there's one phrase after the first comma that we would strike,
Okay.
because the rest of it is still in place. All of the planning comments that we've made in coordination with the engineering review and analysis are still in line with the city's approved engineering standards, which is the ending phrase of this condition. It's just that some of the pre-application comments have been updated, and just for the sake of not imposing any kind of incongruent conditions on the project, the most clear way was just to strike that line and that phrase.
As outlined in.
What was that? I'm
As
sorry.
outlined in.
Yes.
Thank you. Sorry, I didn't see this up there before I asked the question.
And with that, there is a city council work session scheduled for Monday, April 6th at 7 PM. And then the city council public hearing for this project would be 2 weeks from that time on Tuesday, April 21st. And the applicant tonight is here and has a presentation and is here to answer any questions. So I invite them up. But if you have any questions for me specifically, I'm happy to answer.
I do have one. Can you go back to the plot area? Yeah, that'll work.
This one?
Well, actually, go back one more. Okay, so are they doing all the street improvements on Star?
They're doing all the half-street improvements
On their
relative to their side, yes.
And then how the one lot sticks out, is that an old easement that was extinguished, or?
It is a section of an easement. All the other properties have already dedicated their easements as city right-of-way. That one residential parcel never did so. So one of the conditions of approval specifically identifies that they would make that 33-foot easement dedication as right-of-way, which they've agreed to.
When we jump over to Acacia, that road north that goes out to Old West, they're not gonna touch anything up there, right?
That has not been involved in, or we have not required that, no. Typically, we do see some instances, they're typically rarer, such as with the Goldview subdivision, where as part of a trade-off,
Right.
Goldview did improve Star going northward to Old West Highway.
Right.
Generally, we have just required that the developers improve the right-of-way immediately within and adjacent to their property. So
But
this was.
let's say if that stays RSG1 there, that little triangle, is that burden gonna be put onto that property owner to conform with what's south of them?
It typically is not put on single-family residential. It is not put on single-family residential property owners,
Right, so then it'd
the-
be on the city to do it.
typically, yes.
So I mean, in this case, I kinda have a problem with that. I think they should have to finish that out going north with the amount of traffic that they could impose on that road.
Point out. You're talking this.
Yes. The north, that
Yeah, I
little
was,
small section north of.
yeah, my question was traffic flow. How do you see it flowing out of there on Acacia up to Southern and then down
I
on
think it could go both
Cortez?
ways.
Or over to Star, but not, yeah.
Yeah. I think more people would want to go north out to
I
Old
do
West
too.
and hit the freeway right away.
I do
Because otherwise you gotta go southern all the way down to get out there. So I think that should be something that we need to consider with the improvements going north there. And then also with what about on Old West Highway? Are they gonna improve any section on there since they butt up against that too?
They would be providing some landscaping, and I spoke with our Public Works Director today. He has indicated that the city is working through a grant, that through grant monies, we would be improving the frontage of Old West Highway with sidewalks. And
Would
that's
they-
something that
would
currently
they-
working on at this
Would they
moment.
in the future be responsible for those sidewalks? Or is the city gonna,
May have to
the city would be responsible?
defer that one.
So, I mean, they're already getting off the hook on that. I mean, I really think they should improve going north on Acacia there, in my opinion.
Duly noted.
Something the city should look into. I mean, it's possible we could add that condition, right?
As a possible condition of improvement, it's something that could be added, worked out. But that is something that, you would want to speak with the applicant regarding, as it does impose some cost. It's something that we have not yet discussed with them.
Nick, do we know if that portion of Acacia is on the improvement list, the transportation improvement list? I haven't seen it in a long, long time. Where they point out roads that they're going to improve, small neighborhood roads.
Probably isn't, because there's nothing on there.
Well, if there's
Other than
nothing
one
around,
house.
yeah, probably not.
I don't believe it is, but I think something that will be noted as the applicant's representation comes up, there is a limitation on how much we can require when it comes to plan approvals and off-site improvements when they get further away from the project site. That's something that I think they'll speak to, but I will just note that that's part of the reason why the requirement hadn't been made. It's just one of the more sensitive items out there in the planning world.
Anybody else?
I've got a couple. The 100-year water supply.
Yep.
Has that been addressed with this? I thought since these were
For sale.
platted, it would have to be addressed. Is that the case or not?
So in this, when it comes to our water supply, this is located within the Apache Junction Water District area, which has a water designation. And currently, they have assessed the capacity and have notified us of which projects are already within like the accounted area. And so this is one that they've already reviewed. We had been working on different projects on this site for a while, for a few years now, and so there being a development there has already been something that's been factored in, and water has not indicated there's any issues with water supply going through the subdivision process.
So the city water district has reviewed this, and there is a 100-year water supply.
Yes.
Okay. And then the second thing, I'm a little confused. I don't have an issue with the rezoning part of this, which is, I think, what we're here for today. But my issue is on the the city relaxing the standards on the road width, which is basically the same as the setbacks and road widths. It's a geometry problem on how many units you can fit in there. 100 is 129 now. And if we stuck with our standard 28-foot wide road width, there'd be less than 129 units in there. It's just, like I say, it's just a big geometry problem. I don't believe we should be relaxing those standards. And I've said it in the past, and I'll say it again. But I guess my question is this just is this a straight rezoning?
This is a rezoning by
that we're
plan
talking
development.
about? We're not talking about the details of this development.
It is a zoning deviation. So it falls within the consideration as a condition of plan development approval. It is something that we have already accommodated on nearby development sites like the close by Goldfield Estates. It is within the zoning, the private street standards outlined by the zoning ordinance. There's a specific accommodation given to relaxing the street standards when it comes to design details. This is specifically because of the street section. So these being alley-loaded units, some of the width that would have gone with a 28-foot wide street is being. We don't have the same kind of street section with the sidewalks in front of all the units because these are all. There's no front door from the. As we look at the elevations. Sorry, there is a front door, but it is like a more. It's primarily accessed through the vehicles as an alley-loaded unit. In the circulation, there are interior paths to the rear sides, which is where you see these front kind of patios. But primary access, the alley-loaded style, we found that when it comes to, there was the Ironwood Station townhome project, the Goldfield Estates townhome project, that in a couple instances, there were similar circumstances that warranted having reducing the need for like a sidewalk right in front of the units when there's one on the back side of the units, and being able to work with a more narrower street. And working with the design team on this, we found that their request was reasonable in light of that and in light of those specific design standards. And that's why we are still supportive of the project with that deviation. Back to this.
No, the one you had with the landscaping. So, are there walkways on the front sides? There isn't, is there?
No, like, if we're speaking
Right.
regarding like in front of each of the units,
Right.
there would be
Well, no, I'm saying.
like
in the-
curb ribbon.
Well, it'd be the back,
ribboning,
I
but-
guess, which is really the front. since
Okay,
the
yeah,
garage-
there are walkways there.
There are walkways.
Yeah, as we see them.
And that's how visitors and everybody would
Yes.
approach.
So this is more of a imaging of the landscaping, but we have more detailed improvements that,
Right. And then I couldn't
Go into greater
read, is
detail.
that just like a gravel trail out front by Southern there? What is that?
some of it is drainage, but there is
No, out
kind
in
of,
front
oh,
by
sorry.
Southern, or I'm sorry, Old West, I'm sorry. Misspoke. In that landscaped
Right.
area out. See that trail, or is that a trail, or is that sidewalk? What is that?
So this is a section that is going to be developed with the sidewalk under the Public Works grant that I'd noted.
But they're not.
The applicant hadn't proposed to include all that information, or this was more of like a conceptual area for them since they didn't have all the design documents for that. But for the most part, other than the landscaping they're provided, the actual sidewalk and design is going to be provided by the city as part of a grant that we have been awarded.
So they're only gonna do plants out there.
Yes.
I just wanna make sure what we're,
So right now, the trail that we see right here is not
will be non.
indicative of the final end design, but that's because this is part of a city grant for improvements along the south side of Old West Highway.
I have a question.
There's no dog park for
So, no, there's not. On the areas that are not
doors
by the garage doors, the areas that are on the curve and so forth, will there
Yeah, the
be,
front door of the units are here, right?
will there be
So
parking
you gotta
there?
walk on this road.
Because my
If
concern
somebody
is,
parks over here, they're gonna, there's no parking in all down here.
wait till he's done.
Yeah, but this is the garage faces this way. These are-
And you go, you enter through the garage. If you come out.
You guys,
Sorry,
Okay.
explanation.
Okay, so in the areas that are not in front of the garage doors, because obviously you're probably, I would assume you're not gonna be able to park there, even though that would be your maybe assigned area to get into your garage. On the other areas where the rounds are, if it is 26 feet as opposed to 28, does that present any kind of problem with emergency vehicles coming in?
The fire department has very specific standards regarding what width of street they allow parking on. And at 26 feet, they wouldn't allow on-street parking.
That's what I wanted to know, okay.
In order to make sure there's clearance for
Okay.
emergency vehicles.
Okay.
but this is gonna be pretty much private roads and gated.
That's correct.
So the police aren't really gonna be patrolling that to enforce the no parking.
The police wouldn't be, but it would fall under, standard enforcement, and they would be, the fire marshal has its own set of enforcement if they were to be found in consistent violation. So,
It's gonna be a HOA type of situation?
yes, as a platted subdivision.
Okay.
Do you have any further questions you guys are discussing?
Oh, no.
On this, I guess the front doors are in the garage, and the front door is on the same side? Garage door and the front door by the elevations, pictures?
No. Can you,
There are front doors,
but they're not on the garage.
not on the garage itself, no.
Not on the garage side?
No.
There are some doors on the garage side, and there are also patio side doors. So as we see, there's a couple different arrangements.
But not on all units.
Yes.
So
There's
the-
not
so the-
back doors on all units.
So the egress and from each one of the units, I'm looking at it from a fire type situation. The way out is through the garage or to the back patio door?
There will still be other doors, but depending on the configuration of the units. So some units have doors, as we see here, on both the front and back. We do see some units that are more arranged like this, that have some doors on the side, but for the interior units, if not through the garage door, it would be through the rear side. So as we can see, like with this kind of configuration, It does not have doors in between the units here like it does on this configuration, but it would have these kinds of front doors on the other side. So there's a few different arrangements for the doors, but they will always have at least the garage door and another door, another front door.
And I take it you've run this by the fire department. and
That's correct,
they-
yes.
They love it?
They indicated they're supportive of it, but
Approved it.
I'm gonna say
Loving is
that.
not part of approval. And where's the dog park, Nick?
there's some green space on the plan.
I see the green
It was not necessarily
Vice Chair,
labeled that way, but
if I can interrupt, Nick. Vice Chair, I think the applicant would like to give a presentation and answer some of these questions.
Thank you, Sydney.
Thank you.
I did have one question for you, Nick. I was just curious, for the zoning, has there ever been any commercial interest at all for those plots?
we've not received any. Especially the one that is the parcel that fronts Old West Highway most directly is probably one of the most awkward ones with the weird triangle shape. It's also the smallest parcel in question. So frankly, no.
Okay.
The wash is of particular difficulty.
Isn't that Southern Avenue, I bike down that all the time, and that's a steep hill coming down Southern, down towards Acacia, or basically towards Star. And that's not a very, that road needs to be improved quite a bit. Is there any plans on improving that road?
Yes, there are. So those are part of the subdivision improvement plans, and evening that out is part of
I
the
mean,
city
all the way from
standard.
Cortez to Star?
I'm sorry, what was that?
All the way from Cortez to Star, because that's basically the,
They would be improving the portion
Southern.
immediately adjacent to their project, which is between Acacia and Star, but not all the way to Cortez.
but the traffic's gonna go out to Cortez or Star. Then you have to get down Star, and you have to make a left and go down past another high-density housing area there at Goldfield Estates.
Understood, thank you. We'll make note of that in our conversations with Public Works, just to ensure that the road improvement situation is accounted for.
Thank you, Nick.
Chair, members of the commission, good evening. Brennan Ray, 2325 East Camelback, here on behalf of Diamante. We're certainly excited to be able to talk to you tonight about another residential development on a very tough infill site. Especially as you look at it, you all are very familiar with the area. Nick did a wonderful job on his presentation, and is very thorough in his staff report. I will commend staff as I work around this valley and other municipalities. You guys have good staff here that's very thorough in their review, not only from a planning standpoint, but as we visit with the other departments and disciplines relative to engineering, traffic, fire, everything. It seems like whenever we come down to meet with them, we're all meeting with the entire gang. And so I should commend them for that. So a couple of things just to emphasize, and I won't try to replow a lot of the same road that Nick's already gone down, but I want to try to be responsive to some of the questions. But as you know, access to this site is very limited. Acacia does not punch through to the north. And there's this, and it will not punch through, at least not in connection with our development. There's the wonderful U.S. Supreme Court cases of Nolan and Dolan that Joel will be more than happy to espouse a little bit in more detail. But what that effectively states is that municipalities are limited into what they can ask for in terms of improvements. And those, what the ask must bear a reasonable relationship or a nexus to the proposed development as we look at it. So that's one of the things that impacts that. The other thing is that the scope of this zoning request before you tonight is what's outlined there in yellow. None of this request includes the property to the north of us, which they are entitled to their rights as their property owners and stuff like that. Yet nevertheless, as we've worked with staff in it, there are a number of improvements that will need to be made in connection with the development, including the eastern half of Acacia and the northern half of Southern. Again, that goes back to those U.S. Supreme Court cases that I mentioned a long time ago. And that's the typical development pattern as we look across this valley, that the improvements must bear nexus and have a reasonable relationship to the request that's in front of us. So that's with respect to that. The other thing is we look at this site that really encumbers it, as you can kind of see a little bit of green space running through there. There is significant drainage that is coming off of Old West Highway that really impacts the viability and developability of this site. So that when you look at this site, while it's a pretty green space running through the middle, what that really is huge amounts of retention, huge volume of retention with retaining walls and all of that to take care of that, because we are responsible for that on-site flow and we have to channelize it, and that's what all that green space improvement is. So when we talk about a reduction in the street width from 28 to 26, I will tell you 28 is kind of an odd number. And as I work from place to place, typically what I see on private streets is about 26 feet. That is more than adequate for not only fire, but for solid waste pickup as well, because we certainly want to design a community that has safe ingress and egress for the emergency responders and stuff like that. As was indicated, there will be an HOA. It will be the HOA's responsibility to enforce no parking relative to that as we look at it. The other thing that I will mention, and it's not on this plan, it's on this plan that's right here, that's not as pretty as that one, and I'm more than happy to pass this plan around. You'll see my chicken scratch on it. This is the actual site plan, but as you look on it, there are sidewalks that do run the front of the units. And so we are ensuring, again, you can't really see it at this scale. This is a pretty picture intended to convey the landscape intent and design as we look at it. And so there will be sidewalks that will be running in front of those units to provide access to and from. Just to emphasize something that Nick said, fire, obviously we want to make sure it's safe as well, and we will comply with the fire code. And we do have 2 points of access throughout all of the buildings, whether it's 2 doors, whether it's a door and a garage door, or some other combination. We do have 2 points of access throughout these residences because, like I said, we have to comply with the fire code and building code, which mandate that we have those kinds of things. Let's see, Old West Highway. I know there was a discussion about improvements there, and as Nick indicated, as we've talked to them, there is a larger master plan. There's a grant that's associated with putting the sidewalks in, because while we're here in this development, as you look, there's lots of undevelopable land that occurs as you go to our left, as you go to our right. And so as we've talked with staff and worked with them about it, they've asked that we provide the landscaping to ensure that it's there. And then as Nick indicated with the grant, that will provide the Old West Highway pedestrian access, because, like I said, I think the intent is that people can traverse up and down Old West Highway without actually being in the highway itself. I think that was most of the questions that I think I picked up as I ran through it. I'm sure if I forgot of one or something else or an additional question pops up, I'll be more than happy to answer it. Again, we're very appreciative of working with staff and their recommendation. We think they've done a good job vetting it to ensure that it meets the expectations of the general plan, the expectations of this community, and certainly something that's appropriate to the area. And we're okay with that modified stipulation number 6. We're going to work with the engineering department to make sure that it meets it. And as we go through the process, sometimes what we initially think is required when we first come in, and as we get deeper into the details of the plan to where it is today, we need to be able to make those changes. So we're good with that additional modification. So with that, I will shut up and try to answer any questions that you all have, but we would request your recommendation for approval.
I have a question. have you considered making the main entrance off of Star versus Acacia? That way, because since Star is gonna be all the way up to Old West Highway, improved on your side at least?
Yeah, as we looked at it, we're not immediately adjacent to Star, which kind of creates a challenge. I know from aerials and exhibits it looks like we are, but as I understand it, I'm not immediately adjacent to it. And so as we've looked at this and visited with the residents, it was the residents that live across the street that showed up and inquired about it. Again, when we're talking about 129 units, when we look at it, the AM and PM peak impact, we felt in working with staff that what we're designing for a primary access and again, that secondary access off of Southern provides with good ingress and egress.
Well, I'm talking about the one off Acacia, that being on the other side, wouldn't that?
I understood.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, I mean, what barriers stop it from being over there is my question.
I think I know the answer, but let me go ask my client and I'll come back.
Fair enough.
Rob, these are family homes. Okay. You have a fire. You tell me that kid's gonna be able to open the garage door to get out? Yeah, but could you open the door when the power's off? Can a child reach that pole downstream? Can they reach the garage door properly?
I am sure that the fire department has looked at that. That's something that I
Well, if they
feel like.
didn't, they should have.
Fair enough,
I mean,
fair enough.
I've responded enough art scenes to know that that's
Yeah.
a problem.
Yeah,
If these are adult, they're
No,
not adult,
these
these are
are-
family homes.
yeah.
2, 3 bedrooms, 3 bedrooms,
All 3 bedrooms.
2-story.
Yeah. Good point. Good point. I guess I'm not thinking kids in. Oh, that's true.
Chair, members of the commission, thank you for your patience. As I visited with my client and visited with staff, it's a great question that I don't know that I have as good an answer as is necessary at this time. When we first went through, it was under our impression, and I know it wasn't a planning comment, I asked Nick about it, that it be on one side or the other. It was our impression that through the initial steps and processes that we were directed to put it on Acacia. However, in visiting with my client, we can figure out a way, if it's this commission's desire, to make it work on Star. In terms of that, we'd probably, I don't know how we would handle that. The best way I would know would be a stipulation to work with staff. The stipulation would read something to the effect of the applicant shall work with staff to provide appropriate access from Star. At least from my perspective, and I defer to staff, I think that gives them enough direction, gives us enough flexibility that we can continue through this process and yet still accommodate, should that be the desire of this group.
Thank you, I appreciate that. Commissioner Barker, or Vice Chair Barker?
Whoever, the person sitting next to you. This is just because I don't know how these things work. Your retention area. As you come down south and it stops at the roadway, are you going to culvert that water under the roadway? What plans do you have to take the water from that point to across the street?
Now, through the chair, vice chair, I think I understand the question. Are you
Well, you have a wash there, okay.
Are you talking, let me see if I can get the, oh, isn't there a, I thought there was a little magic drawing thing.
Maybe.
Yep, Oh, there's a laser pointer. I can't get to the pen. All right, so I'll use the laser pointer.
Oh, cool.
Laser pointer. Can you see that
Hey,
okay?
I like it.
So I presume what you're asking is what happens at this point right here?
Well, that was the second part of the question. The first part is north of that.
Coming from here?
Keep coming down. It's flowing down, down, right there. How are you going to get across the road and up high and down low?
Yeah, that will
Or
go-
do you feel there's not enough water to be concerned with?
Oh, no, there's a lot of water running through there. That's a bridge that goes under. Yeah, so.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
That was
okay,
really the question. I just
yeah.
was looking at it sort of cut off and thinking,
Yeah,
is
so-
it going to just rise
No,
or
yeah,
what?
no. I think there's one that's attending virtually, so that we're all clear. There are means for the water to flow underneath
Okay.
that area.
And then continue out underneath at the bottom.
Yeah, it continues out there. We do have, it doesn't dead end because if you go back and look, and again, I'll defer to Joel, you'll see that there's this wash that comes through there in that general fashion. Our responsibility is if there are historic flows that come through the site, I must continue those historic flows to move through the site. I can generally have a point A and an entrance point and an exit point that are similarly the same, and how I move it through the site, that's I guess, within our purview. But there nevertheless is a responsibility for us to continue those historic flows. Where that differs is normally we're required to retain our half-street improvements, so the half-street of Southern, again, a portion of the half-street Acacia, or if, depending on the discussion, maybe Acacia goes away and it becomes Star. Obviously, one of the things that we'd want to look at from Star is our making sure we're having appropriate separation and distance. That we can ensure that I've got appropriate separation from Old West Highway coming down here and Southern down here. Off the top of my head, I don't know if the math works for us to have an access point here. Hopefully it is, but we'll work with staff, and I think there's a way in there. I see Sidney nodding his head for someone that's listening that we can hopefully figure that out as well.
You're going to, I'm talking about the wash area. During a normal monsoon, Southern floods from that wash. Going to cross the Southern, it cuts it off. Because if you look at the terrain there, it comes down that hill from Cortez right through that area. And on top of that, you're going to increase the flows because of the pavement and the buildings that you're going to collect water from. And that's going to increase the flows from the north going to the south.
Yeah, so through the chair, Commissioner, I've probably invited a discussion that's not within the purview of a rezoning case relative to engineering standards and the like.
Not be anything about zoning, but let's talk about planning.
Yeah, but in terms of engineering standards, when it comes to drainage flows and all of that, there are much people smarter than I who know how to deal with that and engineer it. I know what my standards are and what I'm required to do. I cannot, like I said, by law, and I believe Joel would agree, if it's a historical flow, I'm required to make sure and ensure that those historical flows move through. In terms of the design of Southern, part of that design of Southern and why you see landscaping down here is that flows from the half street of Southern, I'm required to retain on site. As far as where off-site flows come through Southern, down the existing roadway network, that's why there is engineering staff in the city that look at it and see the big picture and are able to ensure that what we design on this accommodates what we're required to and still addresses some of the bigger picture items.
Well, we got to get all the stuff in the truck.
I love it. I love it. Kids never bother me at all.
Any other questions, Commissioner? Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, does Commissioner Callan have any questions?
Commissioner Callan?
Chasing the baby?
No, I'm pretty sure I heard earlier. I just want to confirm it. These are for home ownership, correct? Townhomes?
Yes.
Correct.
Just wanted to confirm that. Thank you.
Well, if I can, I'm sorry. They can be rented though, correct? By a homeowner?
Yeah, yes, Chair, as with any single-family subdivision that's platted, there are opportunities for rental. I think Nick said it best. There are ownership opportunities within this development, but no different than a D.R. Horton or a Pulte, any other single-family subdivision. Whether they're owned or leased, that's just the nature of the market and residential developments. But this is a platted community.
Do you know what the clubhouse capacity is going to be?
Through the chair, Commissioner Starr, I do not.
Okay, I mean, you got 192 people in an HOA. How are you, and, then you added in other people within the subdivision. I mean, you could have 500-600 people in this lot.
Yeah, through the chair, Commissioner Starr, my client has been in the home building business for decades, and I'm confident that they will appropriately size the amenities to accommodate a community of this size. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, if I could just clarify. Nolan Dolan, that is, Nolan was a case from 1995, Nolan versus California Coastal Commission. Dolan was a case versus the city of Tigard in 1994. And so basically those cases, I agree with almost everything that Mr. Brennan said. It's whether the permit conditions must have an essential nexus to the city's land use intent and its rough proportionality to the effects of the proposed land use to which they are being applied. So when you talk about you want to possibly make them do that extra road.
Loading you girls up, okay? And I'll come back for Gina.
Well, there has been some recent case law that talks about Nolan Dolan. It did not overrule
I'll
it.
come back here.
However, they are asking for quite a bit with a lot of zoning and a minor general plan amendment. So, I mean, that's something we could talk about. I'm not sure if you did that would violate Nolan Dolan. I'm not sure it would. We'd have to look at the costs, and that's something we can look at. But at this point, I'm not sure it would violate Nolan Dolan because of what they're asking for. A lot of zoning here, a lot of zoning changes, and also we had a case, how many months ago regarding transportation. That was a very significant case on Idaho Road, and that was a big issue for a lot of the city council. So transportation is a big issue in this community. So to have two entrances onto Old West, I mean, that's a public purpose. So I do want to mention that. I also want to mention the historic flow. I agree with Mr. Brennan. Yes, the owner has to allow the flow to come in where it historically came in and where it went out. And there is a retention requirement. I think is it 36 hours for percolation? I'm not sure. I'm not an engineer, but Rudy or Sydney, I'm not sure if that's the current one for multi-housing, but there is a requirement for on-site retention.
Chair, Chair, if I may, I think when we were initially talking about the concern about Acacia, that was with the access being on Acacia. I think if this group is agreeable to a stipulation that we work with staff to move that access point onto Star, I think that alleviates that concern.
Yes, or if we leave it on Acacia, would you be willing to work with something going to Old West Highway, improving that northern part?
Yeah, Chair, members of the commission, because that's not property that neither we own nor control, unless the city is willing to exercise their power of eminent domain if we are unable to acquire that property through negotiation, my hands would be tied at that point because I would be stuck with a stipulation that is legally impossible if the property owner is unwilling to work with us. I've never found a municipality willing to exercise eminent domain. It's certainly possible, but in that regard, I think that would be a challenging condition to address, certainly at this time. That's why, again, after conferring with my client, we're okay with the solution to move the access point over to Star and work with staff that it meets the appropriate spacing and safety requirements that are necessary for that access point.
Mr. Chair, staff, is that Acacia property, is that a federally patented easement, or is it an alignment, or is it dedicated? Do you know?
Fairly patented easement.
So it is a federally patented easement on both sides, 33 feet? Okay, so yeah, technically the city has a right to go and improve that.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, so it's not dedicated, but and it is someone else's property, but we do have a right under the Federal Small Tract Act to do that from I think it's 1938.
So with that being said, would you still be a no for that, or?
Let me ask my client. I think I know what the answer is, but let me ask.
Hey, Nick, can you put that map up that shows if it's a federally patented easement?
There are some extinguishments in this area that we need to be cognizant of. I don't have the easement map necessarily memorized, but I've obviously done a fair bit of review on this site.
Chair, if I may, while he's looking at that,
Yes,
we would, as between the two options, we would rather have the access point be on Star rather than Acacia. There are a number of, like I said, additional questions. While I believe what Joel said and what staff has said about easements, going through that and then the potential length at which it is to work with the property owner, whether they acknowledge or agree that the easements are there or not, and we have the right to do that. That's a separate, different discussion, not to mention that. So as between the two, we would prefer to have a stipulation that we work with staff to have access onto Star, which would then eliminate the access on Acacia.
All right.
Did you find what you needed, Joel, or?
Well, no, I wanted the easement map, but I don't think Nick could get it. But the question is, if it was a federally patented easement, the city has a right to go ahead and do it. We don't need the property owners. But if you're right, he's right, if they contest it, then you get into a lawsuit, and you get into an FPE lawsuit, and that could take 6 months to a year. And I don't think the applicants would want to wait that long. And that's costly litigation. So, it's a question on whether you want that access or whether the Star Road one, that alternative is best for you.
Sydney, would you be okay with on Star versus Acacia?
Yes, we're comfortable with working with that condition and working with the applicant to satisfy that requirement.
Do we have any traffic studies? It's going to be, because you got that Goldfield Estates right down to the south of it, which it's similar size units, similar type housing. Then you have the actual subdivision between them.
Are you talking what, traffic?
Traffic
Going
down
down
Star,
Star.
back out to Goldfield.
Well-
Subdivisions would use it.
Right. But their main one is off on
See what?
West Highway for that subdivision.
They're over here.
No,
Mr. Chair, was there a traffic study or
There's two
staff, do you know that?
Right.
There's no,
There it is. They actually,
assessed it under prior projects, determined that they didn't need
they have any access.
I think,
These are.
Chair, if I may add a little additional illumination.
very familiar with
As we look at this site from a traffic standpoint, as I'm looking at the applications and submittals that we've made, we have not been required to provide a traffic study. And I think, as I look at it, the reason that traffic study is because under the general plan, as Nick indicated, half the site is already designated for high-density residential. The other half is designated for commercial. When we look at that from a traffic generation standpoint, commercial land uses will generate more traffic than even high-density development of the kind that we are talking about. And so when we look at that on balance between the commercial and the high density that exists today, even if you take into account the current zoning designations today and what's approved there, on balance, while I can't avow to it, it's my belief based on my experiences that this proposed development will generate less traffic overall relative to what is currently permitted on the site, especially with those commercial zoning designations.
Which I tend to agree and understand that thought process. Anything else before I open it to public? Because once I open it to public, we're not, if I bring them back up, we have to go back to open public. Not that I think that'd be a huge problem.
All those guys back there are with me.
Right.
They all want to come up.
All right. Go for it. Thank you.
Thank you.
If I may speak to a quick note, really struggling with the technology of all the links being broken, but I think I may be able to pull up the easement map. But as it shows, there are some federal patent easement issues with Acacia in terms of what's already been extinguished. Not all of it is under city easement at this time due to prior city abandonments. So there's just another factor, something that we've been looking into, but is part of the factoring of why these requirements had or hadn't been made.
So we still don't, that section up there, has any of that been extinguished?
This section right here has been extinguished, which is where the road actually is. So as this has been a major item of the discussion.
So that road's technically illegal up there on that portion?
Nothing's ever easy with the technology, is it? Okay. But according to the map that I had until it crashed on me, that is correct, that there are issues legally that we would hope to resolve. And that is part of the reason why those requirements had not been made. It is unfortunately a little messier than we would like. And as noted, because it involves private property ownership, we would have to trigger quite an extensive legal process. And not even with the applicant, but with the private property owners in order to resolve or to work that out.
All the more reason to move it over to Star, probably.
That's potentially a factor with it, and so we'll certainly work with the applicant regarding how to best approach that. But it is a broader issue, not necessarily the burden of the applicant, but on our own city departments to mitigate some of that easement question, but.
Well, here's my question. If that road is technically illegal right now, if that main entrance is on Acacia, you know people are still gonna go north and wanna go out on Old West Highway. I ain't saying everybody, but shortest path, all the freeways and stuff. I think people will go north and go to the Old West Highway to go and get on. So if that road isn't 100% legal, that landowner could essentially shut that off, correct?
Mr. Chair, yes, if, say it was abandoned, and that means we allowed someone, we gave up our right-of-way or our FPE, our federally patented easement for roadway and utility purposes. That means they own it, and then that means, hey, okay, they can put up a fence if they want. Now, if it's an FPE, just a federally patented easement for roadway and utility purposes, we could use it. We can do that, and I mean, if it's a roadway that is used right now, I think it is used right now, but if it's on someone else's property, yes, they could fence it off. They could certainly do that if they wanted to.
Well, I think part of the conditional difference is there's one house on that road right now, and the amount of traffic coming up there would probably be limited. But all of a sudden, if you have an exit there for 130 homes, it's gonna see significant more use, so that could trigger them to, if that is extinguished, to block it. Because they're like, hey, I don't want all this going on now.
Yes.
I ain't saying it will. but
It's a
I'm saying
possibility.
It's a possibility.
And Nick, it'd be a 66-foot right-of-way, correct, if it were to be done the correct city design, correct?
So that is correct, that we would have 33 feet on both sides. Some of the easement is in place. It just happens to be that it wasn't fully in place, and that it just complicates things a little bit. So some of the easement's in place for roadway purposes and utility purposes. It's just unfortunately, it was a little bit more complex than we would like, and so those requirements, excuse me.
Commissioner, I think this concern will be resolved with working with the applicant and changing the entrance on Star.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's why I think it would be more beneficial just to flip it, because there's even more potential for it being blocked. And if we left it on Acacia, that could be another future problem for the city to deal with. That just by flipping that, I think we could reduce that potential.
Agreed.
Nothing else? All right. Let's see, here's my note. Yeah. I now open the public portion of the hearing. If anybody would like to speak, please come up to the microphone, state your name, address, and you'll have 3 minutes to speak. Anybody want to come up? Going once? Going twice? 3 times. I now close the public portion of the hearing. Do we have to do the finding of fact on this?
Well, we have to have
No.
a discussion up here if anybody has.
Yeah, but I'm just asking.
Well, if you're doing a recommendation, yes.
Yeah, we have to go through both of them.
This does not have the findings of fact that a conditional use permit does.
So
But it's-
do we have to go through them?
Although it's in the staff report.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
got it. Both of them.
So I think you should.
Yep.
That's what I was asking.
But you don't have to spend an hour on it.
No, I understand. Do we have any discussion on this?
Yeah.
Vice Chair?
Okay. I would just like to remind all of us, myself included, that this is an approval of a rezoning, not the buildings or any of that, just the rezoning. And that kind of takes some of the things that we've been discussing off the table.
Yes.
Just thought I would throw that out there.
But at the same time, since we're giving stuff, we can ask for stuff.
Yeah, oh, I don't have a problem
Right.
with it, but I just, rather than,
Yeah, I mean, like
Yeah.
building design. And that's
right,
not
all
in our
that stuff
purview.
is not in our purview.
Right.
We're just saying, yes or no, you can or cannot rezone this piece of property in order to do this thing.
Yes.
Yes. That was my comment.
Now, they're asking for the change in the easement, right, 26 to 28 feet, 26 feet?
Yes.
That's part of the,
26.
part of the zoning?
That's part of the
Correct.
zoning.
Yeah,
Yes.
part of- Okay, that's part of
But
it.
that's the internal streets and everything
Right.
inside there.
Right.
Right. So they're asking for a waiver.
Right.
Okay.
Is there any issue with that for anybody?
Yeah, I've got an issue with that, and it's, we are relaxing our standards, in order to fit more units into this property. And in my opinion, what that accomplishes, it gives the developer more profit, and it squeezes the residents that we're supposed to be representing into a tighter space. And over again, we've been relaxing the city standards in order to do this, basically the same thing, to be able to put more units onto this piece of property. As we've developed over the years, I think it was necessary to get the development done. But at some point, we're going to realize that it's 129 lots. At 120 something, or 129 minus X, you can have the standard street width. And I'm sure they've designed it that way, and then they said, well, let's reel this in a little bit and narrow it and do setback changes and all the other stuff to fit more units into this piece of property. And we allow them to do that by doing these verifications, or these modifications to our standards, and I think we should stick to our standards. That's why they're there. If we
I agree.
compromise them with every development that comes up, we're not able to call them standards anymore, so.
I would like to
That's
ask
my
staff
issue.
a question on this. Are our standards consistent with the other municipalities around us?
They're generally consistent. However, caveat to that question is it's not atypical for a developer to ask for a deviation to have better circulation, better site design, and so it's not atypical that a commission would approve it either.
I understand that. I'm just saying on this case, the 28-foot is pretty typical throughout the municipalities around us, right?
I would say 26 to 28 feet is generally typical, yes.
So what you're saying is that both are typical.
Yeah, the range is, so what the engineering team looks at is, and the fire district, is can they get the fire trucks in there? Do they have sufficient width? And so those widths are appropriate. And so the 26 feet as asked, staff has come through with that.
Is there a reason we settled on 28 instead of 26 as a city?
I would have to ask the engineering team. Yeah.
I'm just curious.
Yeah. But I have seen widths, driveway widths as narrow as 24 feet. So something to note.
So that's just my, opinion on it. I've got an engineering background, and you stick to your standards,
Well, it kind of sounds like we have two standards.
Well,
Or we have a range of standards.
What planning staff and engineering staff take a look at is, does it satisfy circulation? And does it do it safely?
As a comparison, all of our subdivisions down south, are they on a 28-foot standard in there?
They have a very large document that covers a variety of widths. Yeah.
So they have varieties as well down there?
Oh, absolutely.
With all the brand-new subdivisions
Yes,
coming in?
and they are sometimes different from our standards that are up here on the north side.
Right. No, I'm just, as a comparison, I wanted to kind of throw that out there, so.
Yeah, in fact, some of them,
Possibly in some of our new subdivisions south, we have 26-foot interior roads.
yeah,
versus
and I think some of them are as narrow as 24.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they do that on purpose to slow down traffic, and that's more of a child-friendly environment.
Yeah, they're one-way streets, though.
I'm just
Some
saying
aren't.
there's,
Some
so
of
it's
them aren't.
not,
Some are, some aren't, but
But
yes.
the 24 width around the clubhouses are two-way streets?
Yeah, some places it is, but most of the time it's.
so it's not that out of the ordinary.
No. And it's
What I'm
not
trying
difficult
to-
to drive.
And I understand the concerns, but
Understood.
I want to understand how our community's laid out. It seems to kind of fit our criteria as a city, so. It's not necessarily bad that it's 2 foot smaller, because we seem to do that quite often in different areas. Even with our newest stuff, to where I think we would all say in the beginning, they didn't have space restrictions, so if we're allowing it there, without any space restrictions, is it really that big of a give on this case?
It's a give.
It is, I
It's
understand.
a gift. Yep, it is.
But I'm just,
Maybe
in the
this
grand
is-
scheme of it, is it a huge one? Maybe.
Well, I mean, I'm,
Is it the hill? Is it a hill to die on?
no, I'm not planning on that. But,
It's a big
Yeah, but it's not a,
but I'm at a place where I'm just tired of all the standard variation, and I'm probably gonna vote against this. Even though I do think it's a good rezoning, and I do think the townhome concept with platted lots is wonderful. We haven't had one of those in a
No,
long
we
time.
haven't.
But I'm just having trouble with always compromising on our standards.
So something to note that's currently happening within the city is Public Works is actually rewriting their engineering standards. And so this width requirement may change in the future. We haven't seen them yet. They're being drafted as we're.
Yeah, I mean, one of the strengths to me, I believe, in this is that it's private ownership versus the number of rentals we've had
Yes,
come in.
yes, yes.
Here, here.
usually that standard is applied at 28 feet from curb to curb. There's no curbs here. This is 28 from garage to garage,
No, I understand.
or 26 to
26
garage to garage.
Yes.
Not curb to curb, so there's overlap.
No, I understand.
Okay.
But I mean, some of the new subdivisions, depending where you drive, there's no sidewalks either. It's just a curb to curb. Depends on where it's funneled.
If there is a curb.
Sometimes.
Yes. Any other discussion? I know it doesn't have a dog park.
No dog park. I'm very disappointed in this development. There is no dog park. Now, if
But-
that means that people can't have dogs, that's a problem.
We'll force more
A
people to
big
come to our dog park and use it.
Well, they're pretty far away. Goodness, a development without a dog park, oh my God.
I think, in my opinion, I think we need to put something in there addressing the fact to move the main entrance.
Got it.
I mean, do we all concur on that, or?
Yeah, I do, especially because I think that if it stays on Acacia, that a number of folks will want to get to Old West, and they will simply drive down that road.
I do too.
Regardless of what kind of shape it's in, regardless of a house it might have to go around, it doesn't matter. They're going to take that road down there. So I think it would be beneficial for everyone concerned to try to relocate that on Star. I think it would save a lot of trouble in the future.
My thought too is if we did extinguish any of those easements, it could cause major
Oh,
problems
yeah.
for the city in the future as well.
Yeah, well,
We could end up with something like Plaza.
We went on an extinguishing spree
Right.
about 5 years ago, 10 years
No.
ago, where
It's about
half the
10.
roads, it seems like, got extinguished. It was ridiculous.
I know it was at least 10, because when I moved out here, I was looking into getting the one in my backyard extinguished. And I think I talked to Rudy at the time, and he said, well, we'd been on a spree and we've kind of stopped. So you
It's
probably
definitely
wouldn't get-
slowed down,
Yeah,
but they're still processing a few extinctions.
right, but the likelihood, the city isn't too much in favor of extinguishing anymore.
Correct, correct.
And that was as of about 10 years ago,
That's
when I
correct.
was looking into moving out here and developing my land, so. Rudy was a great asset at that time as well.
He still is.
Yes.
When you flip the access to Star from Acacia, you're flipping the fire access as well.
That's something they'll have to work out and move it. It'll probably still be on Southern as it is, but probably at the other corner. But that's for them to work out.
Not for us.
It's up to them to make it fit and work with their city staff. Which I have all the confidence in. So do we want to do the fact finding?
Yeah.
We're good with discussion, we don't need any more, we can move on to the.
Yes.
Anybody volunteer?
Sure. Okay, findings of fact for plan development rezoning. Number one, that a better design cannot be achieved by applying the strict provisions of the underlying zoning district. I do not believe it can be better designed. I mean, we've run into so many businesses that have tried to get that little triangle, and they work on it, work on it, work on it. Nobody can mess with that. This is probably the best design I've seen.
I tend to agree, I mean, especially with that wash running through there.
Oh, yeah, this is a mess.
And I think long-term, this is the first step into improving that area by getting
Hope
that
so.
portion of the wash at least.
Hope so,
channeled.
yeah. And it gives a business the opportunity to go on the east side,
It does.
yeah. Number two, that the strict adherence to the provisions of the zoning ordinance is not required in order to assure the health, safety, and welfare of the inhabitants of the proposed development. No, that's not a problem.
No. It might improve. Less
Might,
dust,
yeah.
Less flooding.
Number three, that strict adherence to the ordinance is not required to ensure that property values of adjacent properties will not be reduced. I don't think this is going to, the one area is empty. It's got the same types of developments to the south. I think this should be fine.
If anything, I think it'll up property values.
Hopefully it will
Future
raise it.
development.
Yeah. Okay, and that is the end of that portion of the rezoning. So the finding of facts for minor general plan amendment. First of all, whether the amendment proposes a land use designation that the land use plan map does not adequately provide optional sites to accommodate.
I think the way it's zoned,
Fine.
I mean, nobody's gonna get commercial on that little triangle.
No, it ain't gonna happen. Okay, and whether the amendment constitutes an overall improvement to the general plan will not solely benefit a particular landowner or owners at a particular point of time and is consistent with the overall intent of the 2010 general plan.
It
I think
does
it
mean,
means it, yeah.
but does that mean anything anymore?
The 2010 general plan, well, hopefully we have a new one soon. Hopefully.
The 2010 plan has come under much abuse lately.
It certainly has. It certainly has. You're right.
It didn't plan anything.
Yeah, we did. We did a good job on it, but we've changed as a city. We've grown.
It's been
Yeah,
16
if you
years.
don't look for growth, you're not doing a good plan. I'm sorry.
Are you finished?
No, I'm finished. I'm just saying, you're doing a discussion.
This is
Keep
not
going.
discussion. Whether the proposed amendment is justified by an error in the general plan, no, there was no error. It doesn't have anything to do with this particular thing. 4, whether the proposed change is generally consistent with the goals, objectives, etc. of the general plan. Generally consistent.
I concur it is.
Yes. I like particularly the applicant's response that this answers the need for housing that serves different demographic and income levels. That makes me hope that there will be some affordable housing here. That was,
I think it's great that it's gonna be privately owned compared to the rental
Yeah.
influx.
Absolutely.
whether this is proposed change is justified by a plan in the community conditions or neighborhood, by a change in the community conditions or neighborhood characteristics since the adoption of the plan. This is,
It
yes,
fits in.
it fits. That was 5, where's 6? 6. There it is. Whether the amendment will adversely impact a portion of or the entire community. by significantly altering acceptable existing land use patterns, especially in established neighborhoods. No, this does not.
Half of this is already zoned for high
Yeah.
density anyway.
Yeah. And is that 6? That's it, right? Yeah. Oh. That's it. So,
Would anybody else like to add anything? Our member on the phone, do you have anything?
No.
No, okay. All right. Does anybody want to make a motion for this, one way or the other?
you're looking at me. Okay.
Yes, you guys do.
You have all the notes anyway, right?
Yeah, I tried. Okay. This is an interesting motion because of all the numbers. So I will try very hard
You
to.
don't have to read all the numbers.
At all.
You can just say the number, but we want to add one.
No, I'm talking about the numbers in the motion itself. Okay, I move the Planning and Zoning Commission recommend to the Apache Junction City Council the approval of the proposed rezoning by planned development, case P-25-59-PZ, a request by Diamante Homes Incorporated to rezone parcels 103-21-025F, 103-21-025G, 103-21-25H, 103-21-025E, 103-21-026E, 103-21-026G, 103-21-026C, and 103-21-026F, currently zoned high-density multiple-family residential by planned development, or RM-1/PD, general commercial, B-1, and general rural low-density single-family detached residential, RS-GR, to high-density multiple-family residential by planned development, RM-2/PD, and the minor general plan amendment to modify the commercial land use designation of parcels 103-21-026E, 103-21-06G, 103-21-06C, and 103-21-06F to match the high-density residential designation of the remainder of the project properties, subject to the conditions in the March 21st staff report, with the exception of number 6, which would, we would remove the words as outlined in the previous provided pre-application and review comments and from number 6, and we would add a number 9, and having staff work with the developers to ascertain the possible change of the entrance exit point from Acacia to Star Road.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Rudy, I have a motion and a second. Can we please get a roll call?
Commissioner Callan.
No.
Commissioner Kelly.
Yes.
Chairman Hanchey.
I'm going to vote yes, but I do have concerns with traffic.
Vice Chair Barker.
I also have concerns with traffic, but I do think that the development has great possibilities, so yes.
Commissioner Gage,
No, due to the standard issue that I raised earlier.
Commissioner Starr,
No.
Commissioner Mikeland,
Yes, because I'm confident that they'll work well with the city in the changes. Yes.
that's 4 in favor, 3 opposed, Mr. Chairman. The motion, the motion passes. The recommendation from the commission to the city council will be for approval with the no votes so noted.
Thank you. There's no old business this evening.
No, sir.
There's no new business that I'm aware of.
Sydney, any new business? No new business, Mr. Chairman.
I have no information. Do we have any information reports?
I think the only report that we may have is tomorrow's Joel's birthday. We want to wish him a happy
That's a
birthday.
lie, it's a rumor.
Happy birthday to you.
It's a rumor.
Happy birthday.
Who was responsible for the cake?
Yeah, and where is it?
We'll have to address that under our next meeting.
A request.
We can request that to be asked.
Feel the love.
They do not have to comply, though.
That's true.
Rudy, director's report. Anything?
Just one thing, Mr. Chairman. You may have noticed we have a new senior admin assistant. Julie retired back in December, and we have spent the last couple of months recruiting for her replacement. We now have Brenda Richter on board. So from here forward, you will expect to see emails and notices and stuff coming from Brenda. And she's great, and she's learning a lot of stuff. And so there might be a few bugs to work out at first, but very promising new employee and development services.
I'd like to mention big thanks to Julie, and I'm happy she got her retirement.
Yeah.
But I sorely miss her. I had to write my own script for tonight.
And you did such a good job.
And that's one of the things we're working on.
Yes, no, I understand. There's gonna be pains, and she has big shoes to fill, which I'm
Yes.
sure she can.
Yes.
Selection of meeting dates and times, location of the next meeting. Can I get a motion?
Yeah,
You want to welcome
good
the
job.
new
I'd like to
commissioner?
make a motion for selection of meeting dates, times, locations, and purposes.
No, that's the, there's the motion.
So you shouldn't have meeting dates. I
gotta
move the
learn.
Planning and Zoning Commission hold a regular meeting on April 14th, 2026 at 7 PM in the City Council Chambers located at 300 East Superstition Boulevard. In the event that there are no items to be brought forward to the commission, these meetings may be canceled, notification of cancellation properly posted, and the commission notified by staff.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Rudy, I have a motion and a second. Can I please get a roll call?
Commissioner Mikeland,
Yes.
Commissioner Callan,
Yes.
Commissioner Kelly,
Yes.
Chairman Hanchey,
Yes.
Vice Chair Barker,
Yes.
Commissioner Gage.
Yes.
Commissioner Starr.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, before we close up, Commissioner Kelly, is this your first meeting with us?
Yes.
It is.
Welcome to the commission.
Hey.
And this was an easy one. All right.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Rudy. Thank you, everybody. I now adjourn the meeting at 8:28 PM.
Gee, a long one.